Only 20% of businesses are actually using AI right now, and most are falling behind because they're focused on what's important, but not what's urgent. In this episode, I interview Arielle Lechner, executive coach and founder of Nupo, an executive coaching firm. We talk about how AI is reshaping the way we work and lead our businesses. You need to get good at it now. AI isn't just about automation, it's transforming coaching, streamlining workflows, cutting costs, leaning out teams, and helping us see which companies are going to thrive into the 2030s. And if you're not on the bandwagon, you're going to end up in the dustbin of history. Are you ready to adapt to this new world? What percentage of your clients are working with AI right now?
I don't think very many. I think maybe 20%. What I've noticed, and maybe you've noticed this too, is it's not just about what AI can do, but it's thinking about to even include it in your everyday workflows in ways that um, I think that's what I notice with a lot of clients is they're not even thinking to leverage it. They're used to doing things a certain way. Um, and so and also my clients are just very busy, and so I don't think there's a ton of time or a ton of my clients really spending time like tinkering and seeing what it can do and kind of testing it and playing with it really.
So, everyone that I talk to from the podcast is spending as much time as they can muster to figure out how to use different AI models and where it could fit in their business and could it lower their costs, could it replace certain people, etc. And so I'm trying really hard to move the podcast to a place where I'm talking about AI as much as possible because I think it's extremely important for everyone to get their heads around what AI is and what it can do for you and your clients right now, because I think you've got 3 months, maybe 6 months to get something into place. Otherwise, you're going to lose it. You're going to lose the race. I think it's moving that fast.
Yeah, I think by the way, when I say the percentage of my clients that are using it, I don't mean, hey, like their engineering teams aren't using it, their other teams aren't using it. I'm really talking about like their personal day-to-day use. I think also with this stuff, I agree with you, right? You need to like get good at it now. But I think what a lot of people struggle with is this like tension between like the urgent and the important. And a lot of these urgent problems that come up at work, um, we're just used to responding. And important work, like, how can I, build a custom GPT that's gonna, make something that's we spend a lot of time on much simpler. I think people struggle with that, like creating the space for those things.
I think we have to find a way to convince everyone that understanding how to implement AI in your business is far worse than urgent. It's like if there's 5 fire alarm, this is like a 10 fire alarm.
Yeah. I can't remember I read something on LinkedIn the other day from someone. I can't remember which company it was, but they pretty much said that they are. I mean, it's hard to be top down and tell your employees you need to be using AI. You can't really control what they're doing. And so, what they proposed is at the end of each month, everyone needs to either like build a new workflow or a product or something using ChatGPT or AI, and then you need to present it to the team or the company. So you can't just say, yeah, yeah, I was tinkering with AI. You actually need to do something of substance and present it. And I thought that was a really genius idea for really, creating a true incentive for your team to like dig into something, tinker with it, learn, and then have to present it in a coherent way.
I think one of the values for something like that is that it lets them do something that's going to be probably fun for them, because the process that they're used to doing may not be fun, but it might be something they have to do. And if you can automate that process, it makes the company more efficient, which allows it to move faster and allows the person to have to do less work. No, so for example, my brother's worked for Intercontinental for a long time, and he's supposed to do 40 whatever 45 hours a week, but he's been able to automate 15 hours of his work, and he did that years ago. And so his company thinks he's working all these hours that he's not working.
You're throwing them under the bus on this podcast.
It's fine. But everyone's happy because he's more efficient than all of his coworkers.
Right.
And so they're not going to complain. They're like, because a lot of these large companies don't have the capacity to care. They're just like, is the work getting done? Yes. Okay, fine. Keep going.
Yeah, I think on that note, as an executive coach, certainly, I mean, even in my industry, we're talking with colleagues, there's definitely a fear there around like, yeah, if I just, if someone just creates like a custom GPT of like, a couple of um, conversations with the coach, or they pull in like books and teachers and whatever things that have inspired them and kind of create their own kind of coach bot. Yeah, what's going to happen to this industry? And I think that's going to happen. It is happening, and I think it's a good thing that it happens. um, and then for us, I think as coaches, we need to think about, okay, how do we add to our service, add to our like menu or offerings of what we can create. So that might mean for us, hey, if a lot of the quick kind of, at least for my clients, what I used to do is we have our regular sessions, and then something comes up with a co-founder, an investor, whatever it is, you can just quickly like ping me, and if I'm not with another client, I'll hop on the phone with you. Now, if I can create a custom GPT for my client based on, it has our transcripts, it knows my client's values, all these different things that I can customize, and I can create a custom GPT for them that they can then reference in between sessions, um, that's still customized to like our work together. uh, I think that adds a lot of value to the client, and then can free me up to work on other things, like maybe in-person things, facilitation that might become more important for at least my industry when people are leaning more into chat gpt and things like that. So yeah, I think it's just about figuring out like how, now that if I how do I free up, how do I now that I can do more with less, like what are those things?
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to figure out as well. I think it's a great idea. You when you said it just now, I was like, actually, I could do that because I have all of the Dan Kennedy books. He's like a marketing legend from going back a few decades. So I'm like, huh, if I this is probably illegal, but if I could take all of his PDFs, his ebooks, and I could load them into ChatGPT, could I create a marketing bot? If I take the Alex Hormozi books and I throw them in there as well, I could have an Alex Hormozi and Dan Kennedy baby bot that tells me how to do marketing, sales, and lead generation all together in one. Why can't I do that? I mean, again, the whole IP stuff, but like I think more and more people are, and I could probably even sell access to that bot to other people.
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. I don't know anything about what's legal or not, but I certainly know in my own use case, like we all have authors or teachers or folks who we really respect their thinking and writing. And when we're reading their books or their articles, we're highlighting, we're trying to make notes in our own notes to like not forget or remember this like framework or way of thinking. Like, how incredible would it be if you could just like spoon feed all of that into this little bot that then could just, any question you want to query, it just pops it right back out at you. It's amazing. I have to imagine people are going to do that. That like it's already happening.
Well, the guy I was telling you about, he made a sales master GPT that he uses for himself, and I'm pretty sure he loaded some documents into it. I don't know what, but he said it helped him close over 500,000 in contracts in like a few weeks just by using it. It's like, okay, tell me more.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're gonna have to figure that out because yeah, people are, well, I guess why is, if you purchase the book and then why is that part? Like, and then you're using what you paid for and uploading that information that you paid for into,
Because if you pay for it, you have access to use the book. But if you take it and you put it into ChatGPT, it now gets fed to OpenAI, which OpenAI didn't pay for access to it, so technically it shouldn't have access to it.
Okay, but you can also, there's a setting where you can say, don't feed this into the model. Like, this is private. I don't want the model training on this.
I'm not sure you can make a custom GPT if it's not fed to the model. I don't know of those details. I've never tried to make a custom GPT, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, maybe that's not in a custom GPT. Maybe that, I think that's just in like a regular um, chat.
But even if you say, hey, even if you tell it, I don't want you to feed this information back to the model, it does keep memories. I don't know if you're aware, ChatGPT can store your memories, and so it keeps this information about you. So if I start a new chat and I go, "Hey, I want to find more sponsors," it knows exactly what I'm talking about because of my previous chats that it saved the history for. Even if I delete the history, it still saves the memory.
Mm.
And so it can reference, oh yeah, you've got a podcast about business and blah 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 blah. Okay, you want these kinds of sponsors? Yeah, let me create a list for you. I don't have to tell it all. I don't have to give it a huge prompt because it remembers stuff from me. So do those memories get fed to the model? Not sure. It doesn't say they do, and it doesn't say they don't.
Yeah. Okay, but even if you're not feeding a book, like a lot of these folks have done a ton of podcast interviews that are public. If you just compile, I guess you don't need their like IP necessarily to create something that's maybe not perfect, but good. Um, a lot of people who spend a lot of time sharing their thought leadership who are doing interviews, I mean, there's nothing you can feed that stuff that's just online into some of these things.
It's a little harder to feed like YouTube videos. If you go, hey, take these 10 YouTube videos, like it's kind of difficult for it to do those things still.
Hmm.
I've tried. I've tried. Yeah, well, because of the podcast, I've got all these videos on YouTube, so I'm trying to get it to do things for me. It's a lot easier when I like with Riverside, we're recording two tracks, and when both tracks are uploaded and processed, it can then allow me to use a GPT inside of it that generates show notes, keywords, uh, quotes from you, as well as timestamps for chapters and all that. And I take that and I throw it into ChatGPT and I say, hey, make me 10 title suggestions, 3 thumbnail concepts, 30-second intro hook, and a video description, and it makes all this stuff for me. So I I use it for this like pre-production use, but post-production, the only real value you get is like in transcription and summarization. But if you try to feed it a list of episodes, it struggles to like grab things and tell you about them. At least ChatGPT is not good at it yet. That's why for the project I'm working on, I have to take I have to pull out the transcripts and then chunk them and feed them feed them into ChatGPT like that. That's the only way to get it to work because you're feeding it with just context based on text.
When you say you chunk them, what does that mean? Like you're pasting them all into one Google Doc?
I don't know what it means. I heard the word and I'm just saying it.
Well, because something I do, I mean, maybe a similar type of workflow is I'm using like a recorder when I have my client sessions. We're keeping notes, where we have the transcripts. And then at the end of each quarter, what I like to do is take those transcripts, remove any, confidential data like company name and this and that, and then create like a quarterly report of like, what's been accomplished, where are there still opportunities, what are still feeling like blockers, things like that. And what historically would have taken like I have to go sift through the notes I've taken after each call that I used to have to take manually. Now my AI is like automatically producing my notes. I'm able to just with a few strong prompts um, create a really thorough and incredible report. The only thing that's been a bit annoying is like my transcripts after a quarter of working with someone. It's very long, and I find it very annoying currently the way I do it to just upload that stuff. So I was wondering if you had figured out some faster way.
I think if you're paying for like ChatGPT Plus, you might be able to upload each session as its own document, and you can date them.
Yeah, I find that annoying though. I wish it could all just be in one long doc, but I think I get stopped or it like maxes out.
I think you have to do them one document at a time. And so you can say, hey, strip out all of this data and give me non-personally identifiable information, and then just give me this summary. And you can say, give me a summary, give me the things, you can ask it for all of those like things that you want. So I think you can do it if you just have different documents, one document per session, and you date them and go look at them based on the date. So that as you're creating the notes, you're giving me something that makes sense over time.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to do it with the dates.
I've never tried this, so you'd have to do it. And if anyone out there wants to try this, let me know if it works, because I haven't done it. Um, I haven't had a reason to do it. So, but it's a really great thing. It's very interesting to be able to provide clients with that sort of feedback.
Yeah, I'm just continuously trying to figure out what are the things I'm already doing, or even what are the things I haven't done maybe in the past because it felt like just too much, like the work didn't feel like it would equal the impact the thing might provide. But now that it's easier to create this, even if it's just a little bit of impact, well, who cares? It was easy to create. And so I'm constantly just trying to think about how can increase the value in what I'm offering to clients outside of just these, our normal sessions.
Yeah. I mean, you could probably create an automation workflow where when a session finishes, the transcript is split from the video. Like, I don't know if you're using Fireflies or whatever you're using, but let's say, for example,
Fathom.
Fathom. Okay. So let's say Fathom has your video version, it has your transcripts, you put them into a folder on Google Drive. So you could automate the process of it all getting put into the same place based on the client, and you can have the client folders in a certain way, like last name, first name, whatever, just the company name, whatever. And then when uh, when the flow sees that something has been added, it can then get processed
Mm.
and then give you the summary that you want. And so you can have a summary for each of the lessons. And then when you're done with the quarter, you could probably use the summaries and put only the summaries into the ChatGPT. And again, that could be probably automated. That way you don't have to worry about having too much information from each session since you've already summarized it rather than giving the entire transcript. But then you may lose context. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't like the summaries. It's not enough context. Yeah, I feel like it would be low quality without the actual transcripts and the language we're using. So that's the only. But yeah,
Mm.
my
Right. So I was thinking like you could probably prompt it to give you a summary that gives you only the things that you want. So maybe you have a certain KPI, or maybe there's something that you're working on with them. So maybe when it's generating the summary from the transcript, it's the same output that you want from the quarterly. So then you end up having, let's say, 10, 15, 20 summaries from different sessions, and then you can combine those together with ChatGPT into a quarterly summary that analyzes all of it, so that instead of feeding it 20 transcripts, you're feeding it 20 summaries. So you have a ChatGPT that's summarizing based on the information that you want. And then you have a final prompt at the end of the quarter that combines them all into a time, thing that over time.
hmm.
Again, no idea. I'm guessing this would work. I don't see why not.
Is something to play with and see like what's the quality.
Yeah, if I had clients, I would be trying this. Like anything that requires me to not have to do anything, I'm happy to try. Right. My goal has always been how much money can I make and how little effort do I have to put in to make it.
Yeah, it's like it's good to be, I mean, feeling a bit lazy is good in this instance. Like how can I get more done with less?
I don't see it as being lazy. I see it as being wise and efficient.
Right. That's what I mean, but I think like maybe I think a person who maybe someone might have said like what's the lazy way of doing this? Yes, it's efficient, but like what's the least amount of work for like the most output?
The other option is you manually go through all of your notes and create summaries, and then you summarize your notes, and maybe it's 20 hours of work to do
Yeah, it
that
sucks.
for a client. It's not worth it.
It's not worth it.
But ChatGPT could probably do it for you in a minute, 30 seconds to a minute for each thing, and you don't have to do anything. It just does it when you're not there. So you could take 20 hours of work, turn it into a beautiful thing, and then you could even you either use it to get them to pay you like for another quarter, or you use it, as an upsell. You pay, hey, here's a report of the progress we've made I've made it super easy for you to consume, and you can feed it back to your company so they can. I don't know if the company's paying you and you're taking on the employee they tell you to work with, or whether the employee is finding you outside of work. But if the company is paying for you, then they go, oh, this is amazing. Maybe more of our executives should be working with you. Right? Or even if it's not an upsell, you just give it to them for like, I want to thank you for being with me for the quarter. Here's this report. Make sure you show it to your whoever.
Yeah, I provide the report for free. It's of how I just like to increase the value I'm offering.
It's not free, it's included.
Included. Yeah, included.
Yeah, because if it's free, then it doesn't then people don't appreciate that work.
Right.
But if it's included, they appreciate it because wow, that must have been a lot of work for you to get this for me. That's amazing. You're so cool. I appreciate it so much. So you told me that you were trying to build a digital twin of yourself in ChatGPT. How's that going?
Fine. I I spent so I haven't been building a digital twin of myself as like a custom GPT. I think what I've been playing with is just the customization setting, like just customizing my general, I don't know what to call this, like my customization settings, like my general account.
It's like Control Shift I or something.
Yeah, like when you go to your top corner of like ChatGPT, you click on your profile image, there's like customized ChatGPT.
It wants to know what to call you and what attitude, like what personality traits.
Yeah, and like I'm just like looking at it right now, but like if you hover over like what it suggests you could say, like I find it very general. It's like, oh, do you want this to have like a chatty trait or a witty trait? I find that all kind of silly. Like I've spent a lot of time, like the way you're supposed to structure a strong prompt, with I want you like pretend, assume the role of strategist and give me being very specific. I've tried to include those things in how I'm telling it to, like, what traits to have, and not just that, but like what's my life like. Yes, I have an executive coaching practice, I work with clients. I have a 1 year old. I don't I prioritize my family and work. I'm not willing to spend like 80 hours on something, and I wanted to have and a bunch of other stuff, but I wanted to have all this context about who I am and my life and my goals and values and what's important to me this quarter. And then when I keep feeding all that into it and tweaking it, I want that to just not like come back, like checking the quality of whatever kind of answer problems I'm giving it, or how it's helping me think through things. Like what type of outputs is it giving me? And is it reflective of those like goals and values and things that I said I'm working on? Like, this quarter I told it, I'm trying to increase my LinkedIn presence, like be on more podcasts. Please, when you're helping me come up with business solutions, keep these things in mind. And I keep tweaking it depending on like if I'm happy with the outputs or not. So that's kind of mostly what I've been tweaking with. Not at a digital twin yet though.
Okay. I I haven't touched the customization other than just putting my name in, but it's probably something I should do. But I do like the idea of the digital twin, but instead of having it inside of ChatGPT, I'm trying to put it into the websites that I'm building. Like like this podcast launch. Mind Dump is essentially me. It's how I've done my podcast for the last 5 years, how I've made it make money, how I'm growing it, and all that. And so by training a ChatGPT based assistant on it, you now have access to my sum total knowledge of how to launch, scale, and monetize a podcast. So technically it's a digital twin. It just doesn't have my personality. It doesn't have things outside of that. It just has access to my knowledge. So it's not really me, but you could get anything you want from it based on my knowledge. So I feel like instead of having something inside of ChatGPT, having something that's specific is better, because then you need me for this. Okay, fine. You need me for the cost cutting business. Okay, fine. You need me for this thing. Okay, fine. So I can split off the different segments of my knowledge into different sets of data that I train in ChatGPT on, so that you can access it from my website that you're paying me for. Something like this.
Yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. I don't really have any offerings like that where it's like I'm sharing this out in that way for clients. It's more so for me and myself with all the bajillion chats I have open with it. I want it to have the context of my life and what's important to me when it's like recommending things.
Yeah, it's also valuable for that purpose. You know, being able to train it to understand what you want and where you're going for sure. It's it's hard to do both for me because I get distracted by things. So I try to stay focused. So it's like if I'm gonna build a chat GPT, if I'm gonna build a custom GPT, then like I'm gonna do that and I'm gonna do it until it's done. I get hyper fixated on something and I can't stop until it's done. Either I do it until it's done and ends up doing it much faster than anyone else could possibly do it because I like do it until it's done, or I start it, I get distracted, and then I come back like whenever another time. And so yeah, my personality is a bit I struggle with like uh my life is a bit binary. It's like some people's like, oh, don't just choose not to have coffee today and you'll be fine. I'm like, no, either I have coffee every day or I have coffee no days. They're like, oh,
Yeah.
get rid of sugar so you lose weight. I go, either I have sugar like every day or I have sugar no days. I really struggle with this idea
With
of
balance.
moderation. Yes.
Yeah.
Moderation is very
My
hard.
husband's like that. My husband's like that. It's like I either go to the gym every day or none, or I'm either, yeah, eating like ton of carbs or none. It's no like no bite of chocolate at night is a little treat.
Yeah, I think especially for the gym, you have to do it every day because if you don't, you're not going to see the change that you want.
Mm.
At least I found for myself. You go, 2 days, 3 days, you don't have that consistency. Your body's not going to make changes. But I went to the gym every day for the last like 2 weeks, pretty much, except for yesterday and the day before because it was closed and whatever. So I gained like 5 pounds of muscle in the last few weeks because I was going to the gym really hard and eating a ton of protein. I was consistent. And so I saw some change. But if I miss 2 days, it might become 3 days, it might become 4 days, it might become 5 days. And then I've lost a pound or two of muscle because I wasn't using it.
Yeah.
Like it's so easy for you to fall back into something negative if you allow that moderation or you allow that to. So like I try to go to the gym 7 days a week, even if the seventh day I'm not working out, I'm just going to the sauna and the jacuzzi. I'm there to train myself to that this I have to do this.
Just show up there.
Right. So if I say I'm going to quit coffee, I quit coffee until something happens that causes me to drink coffee again because it's addictive. But I have the ability to turn addictions on and off like that, like sugar, coffee. But it takes a lot of willpower to start. And once I start, it's easy to continue until I fall off the wagon and then I have to start again.
Do I mean, I think there's a lot of positives to being like all or nothing in some of those contexts. Do you find it ever gets in the way of anything?
Yeah, my existence. Not being able to moderate myself, it's hard because if you put a plate of food in front of me or you say, here's an example. If you buy a bag of donuts, I will eat those donuts until they are gone. Like, I will say to myself, I'm just going to have one and then tomorrow I'll have another. Nope, they're all gone in that day. They do not last. So if you put a plate of food in front of me, I eat the entire plate. There is no taking food home. There's no moderation. It's very difficult for me to moderate. And so I try to just not have such large portions. I try to make better decisions to recognize that I'm going to struggle with that.
Well, at least you have the awareness.
Yeah, I wish I had the awareness and the moderation, then I wouldn't struggle with these things. But it also helps me because, as I said, I had this idea. This person came to me. They wanted me to teach them how to launch a podcast. And so I decided to just preempt it because I'm sure other people are going to come to me after that. So I just dumped everything. It was 8,000 words and took me 6 hours. But I sat there and I wrote the entire thing from scratch. And I made sections and I made it all look beautiful. And then I turned it into a website with AI in 5 minutes and put it behind a password, obviously, so people would have to pay for it.
Yeah.
But because I can't moderate, I was able to get all of this work done that I think a normal person, it would take them weeks or months to put together all of that content.
Yeah. What about so you started just like brain dumping into a Google Doc?
Microsoft Word on my computer.
Would it have, like the voice function in ChatGPT? Could you have just like spoken like free talked like, hey, this is how I do it, and had like gone about it that way?
No, because I know exactly what sections. Like I wrote the skeleton first to like this. You need to know this, and this, and then I filled in all of the details one by one. But I wrote the first 6,500 words, and then I did voice to text for the last 1,500. But I was on my Telegram, so like Telegram has a saved messages function. I went on it, and my phone has voice to text. So I spoke to my through my Google keyboard, and it wrote all of the text, and then I copied and pasted into the document on my computer because I have Telegram on my phone and my computer. Yeah, so the last 1,500 words that day I just spoke because my hands were tired.
Nice. Yeah, I like the voice function in ChatGPT to especially when you're walking. Sometimes like I don't know about you, but like when I'm walking, I think better and I think more freely. So sometimes when I'm just walking, I like to just like spitball ideas I'm having. And it transcribes everything into the chat. But yeah, then it's just asking me questions. It's like eliciting stuff out of me, which I find helpful.
I prefer voice like the voice call mode
Mhm.
where you have advanced chat, so you're getting an intelligent conversation. So I prefer to do that for when I'm thinking about something and I want to go deeper into it. But if it's a strict like, hey, do this for me, then like I don't need something complicated. I just type it in. But I prefer to do voice messages. A lot of people don't like voice messages, so I do the voice to text because a lot of people prefer to just read. So for the people that don't mind voice messages, I'll leave voice messages. The people that prefer like text, I'll do voice to text. Um, because I used to get pain in my hands, and so by doing the voice, I don't have those issues anymore. But for the brain dump, it was just something I needed to do, and I was like, I have to do this. Like this, it's all flowing out of me, and yeah. So I think it's part of like having ADD. It makes it easier to like be capable of superhuman feats that a lot of people are like, how did you do that? Someone was like, you wrote 8,000 words. Like, oh, how much did AI help? No, I did not touch the AI the entire time. This is all me. And they're like, you did that you wrote a book in like 6 hours. I wrote a book in 6 hours. All of the chapters, all of like every nuance. Yep, all of it. Like people don't. It's not human. People don't do that. Like that's what an AI does. It writes a book for you. It's like, yeah, well, I didn't need it.
One of the perks of having ADHD, then you can get really zoned in and focus.
Yeah, I've tried to hone that over time to be useful for me, for sure. So, what's the most important thing you've learned from your practice?
Yeah, great question. I think what I have learned is most people in their heart of hearts or in their bones know when they need to make a hard call, but come up with reasons to avoid it. That's like I think a core theme. I have lots of different types of clients, but I'd say that's like a core theme that shows up in not all, but most people. Um, and it takes, yeah, we want to avoid discomfort or things that make us uncomfortable. And oftentimes the discomfort is precisely the thing that requires our attention and action right now.